And thanks for joining us here on WWL Plus for a closer look at the potential impacts from this incoming Arctic blast. We are expecting freezing temperatures, and this round we could be a little bit closer or colder than we were for last weekend's freeze. We are talking about some pipe freezes and some brutal wind chills. In just a moment, we'll be speaking with many experts, including Danny Griffin. He's become our expert on pipes from Pipes R Us. We'll also be talking to medical correspondent Corey Hebert about how you can protect yourself and others from the cold and the parades this weekend. And then we're going to be chatting with Alyssa here. She's been in contact with parade experts as we do get ready for this cold, cold air. But first, let's get you your forecast because, it is about to change. Now today, not looking too bad. I wanted to start with our Friday forecast hour by hour. We're going to be in the mid-50s this afternoon, and that's not too bad. Now, if you're heading out this evening, that's when things start to change. We are expecting temperatures to go from the 50s to the 40s, to the 30s, to the 20s. Now, if you are heading out to parades, whether you're going to Titans on the North Shore or maybe you're in the quarter for Crew of Boa, we are expecting those really chilly winds to kick in during the evening, during the parade. So even though that doesn't look that bad, the winds are going to start to blow 15 to 25 miles an hour, and that is going to add a chill to the air. How much of a chill? Let me show you the wind chill forecast, because here's tonight at 7 p.m. It's not terrible, but it's getting chillier by the minute and by the hour. Here we are at 9 and 10 o'clock. We start to see wind chills in the 30s and the 30s on both sides of the lake. Fast forward into the midnight hour. Maybe you're out late tonight. We'll start to feel like the 20s on the North Shore, the low 30s on the South Shore. It gets worse as we head into Saturday morning, and I do think this is when we're probably going to be at our lowest wind chill out of the entire event, anywhere from 5 to 15 degrees on average. So you wake up Saturday morning with most of us feeling like the teens, but a couple spots could feel like the single digits. Remember, this is the wind chill, what the air feels like with that wind blowing. And then as we head into Saturday afternoon, the problem is we're just not warming up as we go through the day. So wind chills are still going to be in the upper teens and the low 20s. This is in the heart of your Saturday with at least some sunshine trying to peek through. Fast forward into Saturday night. This is when we're out at Poseidon, or maybe we're out at Crew de Vue in the quarter. It could feel as low as 18 degrees while the parade's rolling on the North Shore. It could feel like 20 degrees in New Orleans. So this is why it really is important that you bundle up. And here in just a moment, we're going to talk with Dr. Hebert on how you can make sure you are staying safe out in these cold temperatures because, well, if you're from down here, you're just simply not used to this type of cold. Now let's talk about what the actual air temperature will be. This is what your pipes feel, not necessarily what you're feeling, but what your pipes are feeling, and what water freezes at 32 degrees. So Saturday morning, I've got us in the upper 20s and low 30s in the city. I'm not tremendously concerned with a pipe freeze on the South Shore Saturday morning. I'm not sure we're going to be cold enough long enough to actually see pipe issues. Now, North Shore will have a better opportunity of seeing that pipe freeze, not only Saturday morning, but certainly Sunday morning. And I think Sunday morning is maybe when we have a slightly better chance of some pipe issues on the South Shore. So we always like to do the precautions here. Certainly people, pets, and plants. Pipes, though, are going to be something to watch for Friday night tonight and into Saturday night. Saturday night's the bigger one. So here's what we're looking at with a more specific timeline for that freeze. Let's start with the North Shore. I think you're going to drop close to freezing around 1 a.m. tonight, roughly 1 a.m. Now, once you go to freezing tonight on the North Shore, you're going to struggle to get above freezing tomorrow afternoon. Now, if you don't get above freezing tomorrow on the North Shore, you will stay below freezing until around noon on Sunday. These are the type of freezes that make you a little nervous for your pipes. These little short-term freezes that last 5 to 8 hours, typically your pipes are going to be all fine. But those types of freezes, you get nervous. So we're optimistic. Maybe we jump above 32 very briefly on the North Shore tomorrow, but it's going to be difficult. Now, south of the lake, I do think we're going to get above 32, which gives us a little break in the afternoon. You're not going to have to run your water all day tomorrow, okay? We don't want to stress the system out. But we do have a light freeze between 5 a.m. tomorrow and 2 p.m. That's a 9-hour freeze. Then we get a little break between 2 and 6 p.m., but once we hit 6 p.m. tomorrow, I think the air temperature is back to 32, and it will continue to drop off all the way until about 10 a.m. tomorrow, 10 a.m. on Sunday. So what that is a 16-hour freeze. That would be at least the worst of the freeze for the South Shore itself. So that's when I think we'd be watching our pipes mostly, is Saturday night into Sunday morning for the North Shore. Again, or for the South Shore. Again, for the North Shore, it's more of a long-term freeze that could last from tonight all the way through Sunday afternoon, depending on if we actually jump above freezing here for your afternoon there tomorrow. All right, are we going to get snow? Oh, I wouldn't get excited about it. All right, here's the deal. I think a lot of the snow is going to fall in the Carolinas. In fact, this could end up being a major winter storm for North Carolina, the Outer Banks area, and up towards Norfolk there. They could have blizzard conditions. This could really be a big winter storm. Now, for us, I did put in around a 10 to 20% chance of a snow flurry. And before you get excited, I don't expect accumulation. I don't expect travel impacts, but we could have a couple little snow showers around the region here Saturday morning. It just doesn't look like much. What's interesting is parts of Florida may actually get snow. And we're not talking about the panhandle. Tampa could get a rare event called Gulf effect snow. It's essentially lake effect snow, but it happens with cold water running over cold air running over the warm waters of the Gulf. So we'll put in a little chance of snow for Tampa here for Saturday. It's quite a rare Arctic event, certainly for them. So for us, the main problems are going to be for cold temperatures as we wake up tomorrow morning. We are expecting that wind chills will be in the single digits and teens. We're probably going to struggle to get above freezing there Saturday afternoon, and then we have that pipe freeze. The biggest concern will be Saturday night into Sunday, and then Sunday afternoon we'll get up to 44. We'll have some sunshine, and then Monday morning I've got another pipe freeze potential on the North Shore, but South Shore we should be fine from the pipe freeze there for your Monday morning, and then we'll get to the 60s next week. I got a cold front coming in Wednesday, and then next weekend not nearly as cold, but we are talking about a little chillier there for those parades. All right, we're keeping an eye on what we're watching with our pipes here, and we've had we call him our resident pipe expert at this point. It's Danny Griffin from Pipes R Us. You have been our voice of reason now for years.
Yes.
I'm so glad to have you in to talk about this, because this is the biggest question I get when we do get cold like this, are my pipe. People start freaking out. Let's start by talking about how vulnerable are our houses actually down here to these freezes?
Like we talked about earlier, houses are so different. You have raised houses, slab houses, you have galvanized water lines, you have, PEX water lines, you have copper water lines. So really, truthfully, the best way to do it is just to run a trickle of hot water, just a pencil stream of hot water at your furthest fixture, because what that's going to do is it's going to go through your hot and your cold line, so it keeps it running and flowing.
And like you said, and this sounds like what I've heard from many people, every house is different, right? One thing we were talking about earlier that was really interesting are these tankless water heaters.
Right.
These things are really vulnerable if they're in the wrong spot.
Yes, because if they're in an attic, a lot of times, obviously you don't have heat up in an attic and it's not insulated on a roof line, or if you have it on the outside of your house. All it is just a tube. It doesn't hold water as far as a tank goes. And a tank water will get cold and hot. Obviously it kicks on and kicks off. A tankless will not kick on until you turn it on. So basically, you have to run through that tankless just to make sure you're keeping a flow go.
And you said yours is frozen before?
Yes.
Your tankless? Oh, wow. So that just goes to show you.
Well, the manufacturer will sit there and tell you that it goes down to a certain temperature. I sat there, listened to the manufacturer and a couple other, we did it that way, and I just don't recommend it, being that it happened to me.
Yeah, it's better safe than sorry, as we like to say. Okay, another question I often get are running the dishwasher or doing the laundry at night. If you turn on that in the middle of the night, is that going to help you out at all, or is that a little risky?
I would just have a steady stream running.
Yeah.
I would not worry, I would not depend upon if you're going to run a certain appliance.
Okay, and let's talk about the difference between a steady stream and a drip. Because you hear say drip, but it probably should be more of a steady stream.
More of a steady stream, yes, like a pencil point, just a steady stream, not a drip, because a drip, it will catch up and it will freeze.
It will freeze. All right, another one, outside pipes. I was telling you earlier, the drippers on my planters were going off the other day, and what an icy mess it made.
Right.
I mean, does it do anything to run a faucet outside other than create a mess?
It's going to create a mess.
Yeah.
Run it inside.
Okay.
Because the fact is, here's the thing, you're never going to get full coverage of your pipes. It's just not going to happen. The best way to do it is the furthest point away from it on the inside of your house, and that's going to cover the best that it will cover.
And we were talking earlier about, should I run my hot and cold, or which one should I run?
I just run hot, because basically if you run a pencil stream of hot, what it's going to do, again, it'll go through your cold line to your heater, and then go through the hot line out your faucet.
And that also protects your tankless too, right?
Correct, yes. If it's outside or in an attic, yes.
Okay, let's say you are in a raised home versus a home with a foundation.
Right.
What are we looking at there? How much vulnerable are you?
You're 100% more vulnerable, because your pipes are exposed to the elements. So what you have to look at is that a slab, a lot of times it comes up through the slab, or it goes through your attic, through your insulation, you're covered, but a raised house is wide open, and it should be insulated.
Okay, and let's say you get to Sunday and you're on the North Shore, or rather Saturday, whichever day, and you notice your water has stopped running. That means it's frozen.
Correct,
Okay,
yes.
now what do you do?
Well, the best thing is, not the best thing, the smartest thing is to find out where your shutoff is now. So you need to be able to know where to shut your house off. And yes, you can shut off with a meter, but you need a water key to shut it off. Mainly plumbers have those. You can get them at Home Depot, but the best place is where you can shut it off by hand at your house.
And you're not going to know where that break is until it melts?
Until it melts, that's it.
Oh my gosh. And then what do you do? Okay, so let's say the water's turned off.
Right.
You know your pipes were frozen. You don't know if it busted though, so how do you know? You turn it back on and you
Once
see
you turn it back on, and if the meter's running or if you can hear it, that's the only way you're going to be able to tell.
And then that's when you call
a plumber.
A plumber.
Yes.
Okay, and that's what you do.
And another thing too on that one is that if you have a raised house, you can look underneath the raised house, but if not, the best way is just to hear.
Sure. And I mean, what is the scope of if you do have busted pipes, and what are you looking at here?
I mean, it could be anything from a simple repair to a piece of copper that busted, a fitting that burst. It might be an hour. It could be you have to replace your entire water lines. Again, we went through this, probably 5 or 6 years ago when it was really, really bad.
Really bad.
And a lot of people got their water lines replaced. They insulated, they listened, they did what they were supposed to do. You have some outliers that haven't, but the thing is, it's probably just a simple repair for most people.
And these newer things that plumbers are using, these are not like our old things that were being used years ago, correct?
The material?
The material.
No,
yeah.
so basically it's material. We're either using copper or PEX, and mostly everyone's using PEX because it's a cheaper material, but it does withstand temperatures a lot better than copper does. So it can expand and contract up until 1.5 times its size, and then it can go back down without bursting.
And this typically down here in our area, that's probably suffice for the freezes we are getting.
Correct. I think for the most part, unless it's straight up cold for days like you said, and it's really, really low, it should be fine.
Now, this last freeze we had last weekend, we had some hard freezes. Did y'all get a lot of calls, or how
we didn't get one.
Didn't get one?
Didn't get one, no.
I had to ask everyone on social media a couple of days ago, did anyone have frozen pipes? And I had one report, and it was up in Abita Springs, but it seemed like most fared okay.
Yes,
so
yes.
Hopefully that happens this time.
I think that if everybody just kind of runs their water, and they should be fine.
Now, we talk about it's important to not run the water too much, because then we get into these low water pressure issues.
Yes.
And
well, people panic, and you know that. When they panic, they want to turn every faucet on. Here's the thing is that no matter what you do, you're never going to cover the entire house. So by running multiple faucets, all you're doing is dropping the pressure. And fire departments and all that, when you drop the city water pressure, if people are running too many faucets at one time, is not good.
And God forbid there's a fire and we don't have water pressure.
Correct. So just you run your one stream and you should be good.
You should be good. All right, Danny. Hey, listen, we'll get through this one, and I'm sure we'll be talking to you at the next Arctic event. We thank you for coming
I appreciate it.
From Pipes R Us, and hopefully your water heater's fine this time around.
Yes.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, while we do protect your pipes as well, we are getting you ready for what is going to be a cold, frigid, I don't know how else to say it, weekend. We are going to be looking at feel-like temperatures in the teens and 20s for these parades. We've got our Dr. Corey Hebert here, our medical expert for WWL Louisiana. And Dr. Hebert, you're inside right now. Would you recommend staying inside all weekend?
I would, only because most people in New Orleans, you don't really have the gear that you need to get to where, you can just go out and be exposed in all of these elements. But, there are parades and people want to go. I get it. So if you do want to go, the key is to be prepared.
Be prepared, and I think you be prepared by having as many layers as you can. Now, let's say we know a lot of people are going to go out to these parades. I'm going to go out, Dr. Hebert, okay? I do have a bit more coats than some people have down here. How long can you stay out in this, and what are signs you should look for that, okay, I've overstayed my welcome outside?
Yeah. Well, I think that the biggest thing is what you just said is the layers. See, people think that I'll just wear a sweater and then put on a big giant coat. We don't want to do that. I mean, if you had to do that and you had nothing else, that's one thing. But what you want to do is put on multiple layers. You want 4 to 5 thin layers so that you can either add or take the layers off if you start to get too warm inside when you're just kind of taking a break. Because what happens is you want to insulate yourself and then put on the heavy coat. See, the problem that people are going to have is that New Orleans, we like to go to the parades, but we don't like to go to the parades and hydrate. With water.
With water, yeah.
We go to parades and we hydrate with Jack Daniels, okay? And this is the problem, because when you drink alcohol, you lose hydration. That's the first thing. The second thing is that you get a little bit numb anyway, and you lose a little bit of feeling. So you're out there and you're drinking, you're holding probably something cold, generally, and then you can actually get frostbite. And people don't realize that if you start having that numbness and tingling in your tips of your fingers and the tips of your toes. I've had patients that literally came to the ER after being out all night, and they have had to have an amputation
Oh,
because they were exposed for multiple hours holding something cold, and then their fingers and toes got to tingling, but they kept going. Then they got numb. So when they got numb, they said, "Oh, I guess it'll be okay." No, that's when the danger is. So what we don't want you to do if you feel that is to go and put your hands or your feet in hot things. We want you to gradually warm them up, and if in a few well, we'll say a couple of hours, really, we don't want to go any further than that. If they haven't really returned to how they feel normally, then you need to seek some help. So I would actually say that, 3 or 4 hours, 5 to 6 hours, if you are appropriately dressed. And that means having real clothing, like, down coats and fleece and base layers and all that kind of stuff. I mean, you got to have this when you go out there.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, let's talk about the vulnerability of some people and like specific ages. I mean, people want to take their kiddos out to these things. At what point is someone too young to go out to these parades and be this cold?
Yeah, I want us to use our hat of common sense here. I mean, if you wanted to take a toddler out to the parades for a little while so they can see the spectacle, that's okay. I wouldn't take a newborn out in this because anybody that is very, very young or very, very old, they're at increased risk for any of these ailments. Now, just remember that when we talk about the ailments, people think that when you're exposed to cold, that's when you get sick. Well, it's kind of a double-edged sword here, because if exposure to cold made you sick all the time, everyone in Alaska would always be sick. That's not truly the case, right? What it is that when we're cold, we tend to we're inside more and we're around each other more. And so we're spreading viruses more, and the viruses tend to be a little bit more active in some of these types of climates. So washing your hands is going to be just as important as staying out of the fray, okay? But people talking to you much more closely because they're cold, huddling in these masses so people can maintain warmth. That's why you get really sick. Now, there are some studies to show that if you are exposed to extreme temperatures for a longer period of time, your immune system does go down a tad bit, but that is an outlier. Really, what's happening is that we are interacting closely, not washing our hands, and being more susceptible to those viruses in those closed areas. So the elderly and babies that are, not toddlers, they really shouldn't be out there at all.
Yeah, and there's a reason we're all sick after Mardi Gras, it seems. So we're all so close together. Any last pleas for people, Dr. Hebert, on what they should do this weekend?
Yeah, a couple of things, please. I talk about this all the time, but when you go outside to try to cover up your pets, cover up your plants and put in your pets and wrap your pipes, don't be drinking when you're doing that, because you're going to be up on a ladder doing stuff. I literally almost fell off a ladder. I wasn't even drinking and I was trying to cover up one of the plants. So be very careful. Accidents are a big problem. If you're using any type of space heater, carbon monoxide detectors, this is a great time to go and check all of your carbon monoxide detectors to make sure that they're okay. Do not use any generators or anything like that inside of your home. Somebody's going to have an issue with this. And also, do not use a fireplace that you haven't used in a very long time. Make sure the flue is open, because you're going to get these fumes in your house, and it's going to be uncomfortable, or it could be deadly. So this kind of stuff is, if you do all your check boxes, you should be fine. But if you miss one, you could have a problem.
Yeah, these are big things, and that's great advice. I just changed my batteries in my carbon monoxide detectors, Dr. Hebert. So I hope everyone has a great weekend, a safe weekend. We thank you so much for joining us from the coziness of wherever you are. Yeah, we'll be out there.
I'll see you out there. I'll be out there for a minute.
Okay, sure you will. All right, well, thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Hebert. All right, and we are getting out to the parades, and we want you to stay warm and safe this weekend. Alyssa Curtis. What a slip. Alyssa Curtis here. She has been our kind of correspondent talking to all these parade organizers. And what are they feeling right now with this weekend?
So the only parade that is seeing any changes at all is the Crew of Bilge. They're moving from Saturday to February 28th. That's the only parade that's changing. Everything else is staying as planned.
And we should say the Crew of Bilge is on water. And I've got gale warnings in effect this weekend, so there's not anybody going to be on the water. But okay, so down here on the South Shore, tonight rather, we've got Crew of Titans rolling in.
Well, Crew of Titans is on in Slidell, North Shore.
In Slidell,
So they are rolling at 6:30 tonight. They're set to roll. They think that they're going to be off the parade route by about early enough that it's not going to be so freezing, so they're going to be good to go.
I feel good about Titans tonight, and the one happening in the quarter, Crew of Boems too. Now tomorrow is the issue, and once we get towards the parading hours, it seems like no one's moved times.
No.
Because I don't know that there's going to be a big difference between rolling at 4 p.m. and 6 p.m. here. Wind chill is still going to be like 20 degrees at that time.
Yeah, so some of the North Shore parades were considering moving times a little bit earlier to see maybe will the sunlight help a little bit. Like you mentioned, probably not much, but it's not so simple as, hey, let's change the time, everyone come 2 hours early. They have so many facets that they need to get together. They have the law enforcement presence. It's not only Slidell Police Department, it's Mandeville, Covington, LSP. It's a lot of agencies that need to get their manpower ready 2 hours earlier, and if they're scheduled to be set somewhere else, it's a little bit more difficult. So they're like, just get your long johns, get some beanies, get some gloves, we'll be okay.
Yeah, gloves are so important. If you've ever gone to a Mardi Gras parade and catch beads when your hands are cold, it's like
hand-eye coordination goes out the window.
And like Abra said, you'll have a cocktail or two. All right, the other thing, we're talking about the South Shore here with Crew de Vue rolling tomorrow. This is a popular one. It's a parade where you see a little less clothing, I would say. What are parade organizers saying about Crew de Vue?
Oh, I love Crew de Vue. They are hilarious. I went to go talk to Captain Lee, and he was like, oh, we're fine. We are rolling. It'll be okay. I think the other thing, too, we have to take in consideration, this time of year, there's always some sort of weather event that impacts these parades. So they're like, we've rolled in rain, we've rolled in cold, like we're okay. They did tell me that some of the more risque costumes may not be as risque tonight or tomorrow. They're going to be putting on, some coats. They'll be all right.
They'll be out there rolling. And we want to remind you too, the parade route is different for Crew de Vue because of the construction going on in the quarter. It's going up some roads that it's probably never gone up before. And so don't
definitely
forget
check our app for sure.
Our app will be a good resource. Well, any other updates from crews this weekend? It sounds like everything's just rolling as normal.
I think they're good. I know a lot of the riders are just going to have some extra layers on as always, but they also say, if you do go out because the parade route might be seeing less people because of the cold, you might get some better throws. Definitely go out. You might get some more signature throws, some good stuff out there.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I know I'll be out there. We'll be bundled up here, and I know a lot of you will be out there as well.
It'll be fun.
It'll be fun. Well, thanks so much for joining me here.
Of course.
It's been a great discussion talking about getting ready for what is going to be a very cold weekend. We want you to stay safe out there. We want you to stay warm, and please don't stress about your pipes. Just do all the right things here as we do get you ready. Thank you so much for joining us here on this special edition on WWL Plus as we get ready for this Arctic Air. Our next newscast is at noon. You can catch it right here on WWL Plus. And make sure to check the forecast and other important updates on our smartphone. Also, don't forget, you get that Parade Tracker app. It's one of the best ones in town, and it tracks a lot of parades. It's the most up-to-date, and it'll get you where you need to be for all of our great parades. We thank you so much here for joining us, and I hope you have a safe and warm weekend.